Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Hood Outlaws and Legends. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zarel. Let's get to it. Alright, so today we're doing an Outlaw Heist. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. Alright, so let's get into it. I previously talked about the generalities and a couple general tips about playing Hood on PvE. Outlaw Heist is PvEvP, which means that you have both NPCs and other players. So it is a 4v4 with NPCs as well. So I'm going to talk about some of the differences between the regular heist, the state heist, and the outlaw heist, as I've already talked about kind of the general stuff in another video. Alright, so like the other heist, and I do have to say before I get into that, originally I had said that this version of the game, or this mode, is longer. It would take you longer than a normal PvE because of the assumptions that I had to make, and I wasn't able to get into a match very readily. I had to make some assumptions based on what I knew. So the problem was that the differences between a regular PvE mode and the Outlaw Heist make it quite a bit different. So, for one, you have two teams, and they can be whatever makeup that you want it to be. And the first time that you see an enemy player will probably take you by surprise. It'll take you back a little bit because you won't necessarily know what exactly you're looking at, because it'll look just like an NPC, because of the shading and shadows, but they're reacting and acting a little bit differently than they would otherwise. Now, when an NPC notices you, the other team will be able to see where you're at. In the beginning, it's not a big deal because you're going to be separated by a decent amount of space. However, as the game progresses, it becomes a larger deal. So if you're a melee character, it may not matter as much, but it's still going to give away your position. And if you're with your team, that puts your entire team at risk. There's a lot more running going around and a lot more getting noticed, simply because there's only one vault, there's only one chest, and there's only one way to extract. There's more than one location for extraction, so don't get the wrong idea. There are still 3 control points. Unlike PvE, when you die in here, there will be a short cooldown, and then you can pick one of the control points or your home point to respawn. Obviously, if you have a control point, that is going to be the best way to get back into the action quickly. Now, there are bonuses in the game for picking the key off of the sheriff, opening the vault door, and for getting the chest to the extraction. Now, it is always best to be with your team, if at all possible. If your team is not playing to the objectives, it does make it a little bit difficult. So although this match is relatively fun, it can also be infuriating because you're playing with a bunch of people that may or may not have the same ideals that you have. So going it alone is never a great idea. However, having said that, playing to the objectives is usually a good idea. So hopefully your team is playing to the objectives. There are, some issues with combat because of the way that it all works. And of course, latency is always, or seems to always be, a bit of a problem with any kind of multiplayer PvE type or PvP type game. So it's certainly something to be aware of. You always have to be aware of your stamina and your health, as well as your surroundings, not just where the enemy NPCs are, but where the enemy team is at. The assumption, do you make the assumption that the other team is together? Do you assume that they are not together? I mean, it's all part of the strategy. So do you have the strategy that you can or should or do certain things, or do you not? So although I did make every attempt to be with my team, it was not always a possibility. Mostly because I tried to play to the objective. And there were times that my teammates seemed to be out and about elsewhere. So once you get the key, if you have not found the vault, that would be a good thing to do. Try to find the vault, see where it is, and once the vault door is found, you want to get there as quickly as possible and open the vault door if you have the key. If you don't have the key, then you should meet up with your team and get to the vault door. Open the vault door, and then get that chest to the extraction point, whichever one makes sense. If you have, there seems to be 3 extraction points, ones that are between, say, A and C, between C and B, and between B and A. That's the general consensus, and it may or may not be that way on your particular map. But that essentially means that if you do not have one of the control points or a nearby control point, then it makes sense not to go to that particular extraction if you have the choice. If the enemy team takes the chest to the extraction, then obviously they are going to be making that decision based on what option is best for them. And of course, it is very fluid. So the extraction that you pick or the enemy team picks might be best for that particular situation at that time, but then you gain or lose a control point, which makes it more or less difficult to extract. Now, extraction works much differently in Outlaw Heist than it does in the state heist. You'll see at the top a progression, and as you progress, each notch will give you rewards, and of course getting that meter all the way up, then you will win the match and extract or get out. So your progress does not go down once you hit a certain notch. So you have to not only be in the area, but you have to crank the chest in order to make progress. So unlike the state heist where all you have to do is just kind of be in the area and defend it, this one you actually have to crank it, and each part will only count once you get to the next notch. So more than likely you'll be kind of going back and forth and trying to take out the enemy team, get some progress before they respawn, and then take care of them again if at all possible. If not, respawn and go back in. You'll see when they're making progress. It'll be very clear at the top. There'll be kind of an arrow going in one direction, either left or right. So if someone's there and cranking, you'll see it. But if you have two people doing the crank, it will, of course, go that much faster. But this mode ultimately goes much quicker, or potentially goes much quicker than a PvE match. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
Let Marie